whatever page you're watching on. As always,
Georgia.
get to our YouTube channel. We're posting links as I speak in the various Facebook groups, and follow us there. There's better audio, better quality video, and it's just a place to be. So get over there as fast as you can. And as always, whatever page you're watching on, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, Georgia, North Carolina, New York, let us know where you're watching from. Post it in the comment section. Post your questions, things you want to talk about. We'll answer your questions if we can in the podcast. There is a lot to go to talk about here tonight. So I think first and foremost, guys, if I'm not mistaken, we're discussing Pelosi and her all but public agenda now, and what her intentions are for our gun rights if she gets her beloved gavel again. Of course, she might just like tip over and fall down if she gets it, because she clearly has about as much health as Hillary Clinton does right now. But this is a big threat. Where are we at on this?
Well, I mean, we were talking about it early. The big thing I saw, it was either today or yesterday. She was down in Miami area, or Parkland, where the Parkland shooting was. Of course, if you remember, old Hog Daddy, David Hogg, he said he wished she'd just go on and die. She went down there anyways, and I read an article today. She said, we're going, if I get the gavel back, we're going for expanded federal background checks. And what that means is, we've seen this at the state level, we saw it 5 years ago in D.C., is the elimination, or at least criminalizing, private sales on a national level. That was her number one agenda and what she's talking about. You know?
I think people kind of get confused sometimes. Maybe I know gun guys get confused sometimes. Maybe they think that, well, you know, if I sell a gun to somebody, I should go through some kind of a check. I mean, of course, we know, and we're going to discuss it sometime, maybe tonight, maybe later, that background checks have not stopped like any of the last 15 mass shootings in this country. But more importantly, what they might not realize is this literally applies if you give a gun to your kid. You know, if you give a family, heirloom firearm to your grandson. My grandfather gave me his old single shot 410 shotgun. I shot the hell out of that thing until I broke the firing pin. I didn't tell him that I broke the firing pin.
Wait. I thought we got that fixed.
I don't think it's been fixed. It's like a 110-year-old shotgun, so I'm not sure how to fix it.
Ben, can you chime in here?
Going big
bucks. That thing was hanging broken on the wall for most of my childhood, thanks to you guys. So don't blame me for it.
But I mean, what we're talking about with these bills, though, is that literally, you know, your grandfather, you know, my grandfather, if he gave his grandson a shotgun or a rifle or whatever, would be a felon, you know, for life if he didn't go to get a NICS check on me and put me and that firearm in a freaking government database, you know. And so, you know, some people might think, well, it's a harmless check. Well, number one, it's not harmless, because getting lists of gun owners has never worked very well in the history of the human experiment. But I mean, more importantly, or more immediately, yeah, you become a felon. Give a gun to your buddy for pheasant opener. We're about what are we, about 10 days away here in Iowa now from pheasant opener. And if you were to loan a shotgun to your buddy, that's a felony offense if they pass this crap. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It's no joke. I was just looking at that today, actually. In Minnesota, that's the bill that's been proposed. If you loan a firearm to your friend for more than 12 hours without running a background check on them and registering it in their name, it's a felony offense. You can certainly be charged for it.
Well,
loaning a shotgun.
Yeah. Some of y'all remember in 2013, Michael Bloomberg spent a butt ton of money out in Colorado and passed these what they call expanded background checks, so the elimination of private sales. And it doesn't work. There's a few articles that came out recently that said they spend millions of dollars trying to enforce these things. 99% of the sheriffs out there won't enforce them. But at the end of the day, I think Sheila Jackson Lee, everybody knows who Sheila Jackson Lee is. She's the congresswoman in D.C. who handed the note.
Nasty.
During the Kavannaugh hearings. Exactly right. She said it won't work. And there's a video of her saying this. It won't work unless you have 100% registration. And that's what these background checks are all about. Not only in D.C., it's what Pelosi is promising. It is a gun registry, but also in our states. You know, I think all of us here can say that we have faced these bills in our states, and the future looks like we're going to see even more of them. we're absolutely going to see more of these things. And
we have to do a podcast here. One of our next shows that we have to make time for this after the elections, maybe. But we did a story with Second Amendment Daily. We tracked, I think, the last 10 or 15 mass shootings, and every time the shooter had gone through a background check, and it literally isn't stopping anything. And the handful of times where they hadn't gone through a background check, they stole firearms. So, I mean, the idea that we're going to stop any kind of mass shootings with a background check is just absolutely asinine. I mean, I was testifying in committee this year in the Iowa state capitol, and
yes,
what state?
This issue. Hey, I get around. And we were discussing background checks, and I told them that, you know, this has been proven to not stop anything. And they said, well, you know, it's going to help. It's going to help in most cases. And of course it's not. But I mentioned some cases here in Iowa where we had right after election day, 2010, a young kid from Minnesota. That's a Ben problem. From St. Louis Park, Minnesota, drove up to his grandfather's hunting cabin, grabbed the firearms, drove way back into Iowa, and he shot and killed 2 gas station clerks in small town Iowa, Humboldt, Iowa, Algona, Iowa. 2 gas station clerks, 2 separate towns, about a half an hour apart. One was a mother of 10 or 11, and they're dead. You know, and a background check didn't stop him. So we have to discuss that at a future show in detail. And a lot of gun guys think that maybe this is legit, you know, when it comes to stopping crime, and it's just not.
Yeah. Hey guys, I have something to say about that, Aaron, but let us in the comments section. If you can hear us, let us know. Let us know the volume, guys. If you can hear us down, let us know.
I think I have fixed it.
Okay, Ben turned it up.
Once I saw that comment, I turned it up. I just want to know if that's improved at all since I did that. So let me know, guys.
Sounds great to me. I you know, if any of y'all are having problems, let us know, guys. But while you're at it, guys, let us know where you're watching from. We've got John in Vinton County, Ohio. We've got the great Hardy Strong Bear Taylor, who's already early voted down here in Georgia, Paulding County, Dallas, Georgia. Who else we got? We got John in Waycross, Georgia. Let us know where you're watching from, guys, and share this thing. Share it. Get it passed around. Back to Aaron's point. This is a totally different country, okay? But it went under the radar this week. There was a guy in Crimea, okay? Crimea. Oh, yeah. You saw that probably, Aaron. Terrible situation. You know, you've got the Russians and fighting and stuff over there in Crimea. I think they basically just annexed it back. But anyways, the kid had a hunting license. Okay, a hunting license. Okay, we hear that all the time from liberals in our country. Oh, well, you know, it's about hunting, right? You know, Second Amendment, go hunting, get a license to go hunt. Well, he had a hunting license and he went and bought his shotgun or whatever with it. And he went in and killed 20-something students at a school over in Crimea. Of course, you don't really hear about it here because they only care if it's America and if they can destroy our Second Amendment rights. But the larger point is that they talk about all these background checks and this going to save this. Guys, we all know that evil is in the heart of man. The gun is just a tool, and it's nothing else than that. And these background checks, it is about registration, and that's what Pelosi wants. That's what she is literally campaigning on across the country right now. When we get in, I'm doing this. It's one of the top things she says. We are doing gun control. We're going to try to work with President Trump. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what she says. And who knows? She may not even get the speaker's chair, but, you know, a lot of prognosticators are saying that's going to happen. But we're in for a big fight, for sure.
The worst part about it, I think, right now is that I think she's going to have a lot of Republican support for that crap.
Yeah.
And if not that, they're going to pivot to something else, which would be the red flag gun seizures. That's obviously the go-to default position. You know, if they can't get a full-on background check or a full ban on the AR-15, red flags that's where it's at. That is where it's at right now for Republicans and Democrats, because this is kind of taking the country by storm. Because it doesn't matter, you know, it doesn't matter if you own high-end shotguns or just a Glock 9. You know, this affects gun owners across the board. You could be a gun rights activist. You could be a 90-year-old retiree who doesn't care. If someone calls in that complaint, you're done. You're done. If they pass it in D.C. or in our individual states, you're done. We've already seen hundreds of guns taken in Florida. We've seen dozens taken in Oregon. I mean, this is happening at warp speed, and every state that does it makes it that much easier to pass it. And Republicans in Minnesota love it. Republicans in Iowa love it. Republicans in Ohio, where this is almost the birthplace of this crap. Love it. The GOP loves this. It's a reasonable response to gun control. So this is, Pelosi's layers of attack here are numerous, and background checks are one issue. Red flags is a fallback position. Of course, I could talk about AR-15 bans, probably not very likely, but that's how it's going to work. They're going to start out with, AR-15 bans and get people all fired up. And then when the gun fervor kind of dies down, they're going to slide in there with background checks or with red flags. And a lot of people might think, well, hey, at least we saved our ARs. Well, that's not how it works.
That's bad here in Minnesota. The Republicans are all on board with this stuff. They're all desperately trying to maintain their majorities in the House and the Senate by sponsoring gun control. It's a major problem here.
Yeah, Aaron, I know you were talking about it before we came on the show. And you mentioned it a second ago. I don't remember exactly what you said, but it made me think about it. The diverting, Second Amendment supporters are fired up. I know they are here in Georgia. I don't know about your states, but you saw an article. Why don't you talk about that article a little bit about the big money people on the left who thought that they could convince everyone that they should, chew up their guns and throw them all away. But those big money guys have moved their money away from the issue to something else. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Actually, Ben was the one who was reading the article. I'm still kind of getting caught up on that.
It was the Washington Times just released an article. It just says gun control advocates shift attention and money to other issues ahead of the midterms. And it's not just the big money donors here. It's the actual gun control organizations that are talking on the other issues all by themselves. So it says, gun control was supposed to be the issue of 2018, yet it has receded so far into the background of the midterm congressional elections that every town for gun safety, a major player in gun control, is spending its money on ads covering abortion, healthcare, and the tax bill. But nary a mention of assault rifles or bump stocks. And it kind of goes on from there. So you have every town for gun safety. I think it's probably the largest gun control organization in the country. Maybe Gabby Giffords is up there too.
No, every town is the biggest.
Every town's got it.
It's the big one.
They're spending gun control money, pushing for abortion and their version of healthcare. So they don't care. They'll spend the money on whatever it takes to get their radicals into office.
That's actually well, clearly these people have no ethics, so so they don't concern themselves with this stuff. But I gotta tell you, if Ohio gun owners was to all of a sudden jump in and start, throwing money into other issues, that would be totally disingenuous to the donors who are underwriting and funding the programs that Ohio gun owners is running. But they don't care. These people don't care. They have no ethics. They have no souls, for that matter.
Yeah, but they're smart. But they're smart. That's
right.
The whole point here is, they're doing a focus group, or they're doing some poll numbers, and they realize what their winning issues are. And apparently, in some of these races, it's not gun control. So they're just going to pivot and bounce. And like you said, Ben, they don't care how they take a seat. They just want to get it under control. And they realize that once they have the majority, they can do what they want. I know we're going to discuss Claire McCaskill in a few minutes, but she's example number one of what they're doing. They're going quiet on gun control for a little bit, but they have a whole agenda in place if they get the gavel. So,
and they all fight on the same team. They all fight on the same team.
Yes,
that's kind of the point of the story.
Yeah,
is that
these
guys are all sitting in a big war. It is what you think it is. They have a gigantic war room or two in Washington, D.C. and in these states, and they have it all plotted out. These dollars go here. Or in New York City, these dollars go here. These dollars go here, and they fight on the freaking same team.
Yes, behind the scenes, they're like Republicans. They squabble, they fight back and forth, but when they come out of the room, it is a unified front. They all put their personalities aside, and they are mission focused. And I admire the heck out of them for that. But heck, we've seen that in state after state after state after state over the last 10
Well,
years.
they fight harder than the right has ever fought, and it's just, I mean, Trump obviously is the only person to, to challenge all that now. Of course, he's teaching them a lesson. But I was talking to a lawmaker today, Senate candidate. He's an incumbent, and they have this. He's a good guy, but he has this attitude that, that we can just kind of play it nice, play it easy, just kind of, bide our time and just kind of coast back into office. I'm like, man, these people are fired up on both sides, and they expect someone to freaking lead, someone to get loud and to be aggressive. And man, they're getting that from Pelosi. I mean, she is aggressive. She's in your face. She's unapologetic. She's not backing down. All the crap Trump taught her to do. But I mean, that's the whole point here, is that the left is picking up quickly. But so many down ballot Republicans just suck. Just weak.
I mean,
weak.
It makes me think. I mean, so some Minnesota Republicans, lawmakers are some of the worst in the entire country as far as I'm concerned when it comes to Republicans. But, I think, the most amount of respect for State Senator Ron Latz. He's a radical leftist Democrat, pushes for every leftist agenda item under the sun, and he's the best fighter in the entire legislature when it comes to his issue. And last session, I was standing right there in the big media room in the Capitol. There's probably 15, 20 people in there, and Ron Latz is giving a press conference on red flags, gun control, and universal background checks. And I'm probably standing, 15 feet away from this guy. So he's looking at the camera, and I'm probably off to the corner like this. And all of a sudden on camera, he just starts ripping into Minnesota gun rights, starts calling us frauds and liars and fakers and radicals and all this stuff. And I couldn't help but feel admiration for the guy. I mean, I'm standing right there in the room, and he is just ripping into us on statewide TV.
Nasty.
And that's just more cojones than I saw from 25 Republicans in the entire legislature, combined last session. And I couldn't help but have a little admiration for the guy, even though I hate their guts. So.
Well, who was I saw the story this week. I didn't look into it, but you had the Republican candidates. One of them suffered a concussion. One of the Dems was blasted him in the head or something.
Oh yeah, your buddy, Ben. Yeah, what was your buddy?
Shane Mecklin. He filled out our survey 100%. He got punched in the face for it.
That's right.
Well, there you go. I mean, I don't think the right needs to be doing that. But I mean, this is, who was it? I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. We had the woman who cornered Jeff Flake on the elevator. She came out a couple days later and was just like, we use violence to push it as far as, and this is a paraphrasing, as far as we can go, in hopes that the other side basically will just give up. I mean, this is what we're talking. This is who we're dealing with here.
They're lucky.
I mean,
we're a peaceful people.
Yeah, peaceful people. Not really.
Until we get punched in the face, then it's on like Donkey Kong. I mean, I've thought that many times, and you get these evil looks and stares from some of these people. They work themselves up into a frenzy, especially at the State House.
They're triggered.
And you just think to yourself, I'll let you land one for free, but that's where it ends. Of course, these are all not like, except for Iowa. That's not a gun free. Well, Minnesota too. You guys can carry in your state capitals. What a load of crap.
Yeah,
these Republicans.
Crazy,
these Republicans here in Ohio.
I just want to say, if Shane Mecklin's watching this, we really hope that that you're willing then to totally champion stand your ground legislation. I mean, because that's who knows what they would have done after punching you in the face. They start beating you half to death. Well, stand your ground is certainly going to come into play if somebody pulls a firearm to defend themselves. So, looking forward to working with you, Shane.
Yeah, I was looking at the guy who punched him. I think I see the picture. He just looks like a little, gnat. Minnesota Democrat Farm Labor spokesman William Davis. Is this the guy who did it? Who hit him? Have you?
I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, this guy was like a little. I mean, geez, Louise. But didn't he punch a woman?
Hold on.
Does he have tiny arms? Does he have hog arms?
No,
is that what we're talking about?
No. Far more important is, did Mecklin take a swing back or not?
Yeah.
If somebody punches me, I'm taking a swing back. I may not win, but hey, at least I get to play at that point.
Yeah.
But did he? If he didn't, that's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, it's kind of like old Lindsey Graham. I feel like, if somebody had taken a swing at him in the Judiciary Committee the other day, normally I would say he would probably run for the exits, but I feel like he was ready to fight.
I think he'd pull his AR-15. He told me in person when I was throwing down with the guy. He told me he's got one in his bedroom closet.
Oh, okay. Well, there
my
you go.
guess is that he's got that sucker underneath the desk right now. I mean, he's
ready to go.
Ready to rock.
I mean, who was it? Who was it back in the day in the Congress and the Senate? Was it the Senate or the House? Was it Calhoun and Sumter or whatever who just started cracking that guy on top of the head? I forget. I should know my history better. But I mean, sometimes I'm a little bit jealous when I see these countries like freaking Kazakhstan or whatever it is, and they just and Nigeria or whatever, and they just straight up brawl on the floor of the house. Throw chairs and stuff. Yeah. I'm not advocating, but I'm just saying I'm a little bit jealous.
I'll say it. Let's bring it back.
Yeah, they're playing for keeps. It's almost like they should have my grandfather said in elementary school back in the day when the kids got in a little tussle, they just put the boxing gloves on and let them go at it,
Yeah.
You could charge
what we always did when we were kids.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, you could charge $10 pay-per-view. What, Pocahontas versus who on the? Well, we could go Pocahontas versus Kamala Harris. I mean, I'd pay for that.
Pocahontas v. Claire.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Pocahontas.
I think she would fight dirty.
Claire.
Oh yeah.
Claire wins.
Yeah, Claire would be.
Claire wins.
She'd have stilettos. She'd have stilettos in her shoes, like James Bond style stuff. I mean that.
Well, I don't know. Pocahontas could pull out the tomahawk. She might pull out the tomahawk on her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Talk about Pocahontas. I mean, I think Trump called her out. He pledged $1 million to a charity if she would take a test and prove her DNA. So. I mean, talk about bad optics. We're T-minus 18 days, 17, 18
Terrible.
days. And she comes out, with this crap. And what you were saying to me, Patrick, first she was 400 and some odd % Indian. And then it was revised down to 1,024%. I mean,
well, the results were that whoever the ancestor was could be as little as 6 generations removed, but as much as 10 generations removed. And so as one commentator I was reading the other day, he's like, her ancestor could literally be Pocahontas. Actually, if we're looking at 10 generations removed, it could be Pocahontas.
Well, there was an article, I think it came out in westernjournalism.com or whatever, and they said it's now likely that her ancestors actually killed Native Americans rather than her actually being Native American.
Well, that sounds like her.
So what is it now? Is it 1,025th of a percent? Is that
24th? I think.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a 5.
1,024th.
Yeah, and Tony from Georgia makes a good point. Is that I think what it is, and I'm not giving her the benefit of the doubt, is I think they have such a small sample of Native American blood in these DNA banks that they have to go to South American. So they have to get Mexican and Tony Colombian and Peruvian blood and then mix it in somehow with their DNA algorithms or whatever. And even then they could only, they managed to pull 1 in 1,024th Pocahontas blood.
Now you can see my phone or not, but I think it's from Utah. Jason Chavez, former congressman. He resigned for health concerns. He put this on Twitter a little bit ago. He's at Disneyland right now. He said with Pocahontas. This has been such a good optics boost for the GOP. That's why I've seen so many Democrat papers just beating the snot out of Warren, saying, "Why in God's name we just got past Kavannaugh? We just got past Kavanagh. Why are you giving these people more information to mock us with?"
You know what you should
it
do.
Sounds like it sounds like their calculation, and I'm sure, like you said earlier, heavily focus group, all the stuff that they do. But it sounds like, look, we're going to win the House. This will be a 1-week story, and it'll be all positive because it proves it. And then the big Pelosi comes in, and then Elizabeth launches her presidential in January or February or whatever, and everybody's forgotten it by that time. But it was a bad political miscalculation. In fact, I told someone this week I thought it could be her Dukakis moment.
Oh,
yeah.
Dukakis moment because, I mean, whatever. But Now, I remember from Iowa, and it's in northwest Iowa.
Pocahontas.
Pocahontas, Iowa.
Come on, you
Is
stole
that
it from me.
Pocahontas?
Man, I got to get up there
You
and take
stole
a picture,
it.
guys.
You stole it from me. I was about ready to say that. You know what you should do, Aaron? You should drive up to Pocahontas, stand there, and do a live broadcast in front of an interview with Pocahontas,
Oh my
Yes.
gosh! Don't get me started.
and
I
go
might do that
back and
tomorrow.
forth with her.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Be
I
like,
might do that
Pocahontas,
tomorrow.
what do you have to say about this? What do you have to say
Oh,
about this?
it'd be kind of
Pocahontas?
like Clint Eastwood's interview with the chair. You know, that'd
Yeah.
just be.
Oh, man.
You know,
Don't give anybody the idea. You need to own that idea during.
No one's got a 40-foot statue of
Pocahontas,
Pocahontas in the country except for me. So I might
Yeah.
have to do that.
you
Well,
know,
this
I saw
town-
somebody on Twitter was saying there is one of those spoof accounts of Trump that he owes her money now because she took the test, and I think it was one of his, it's a fake account, but it said, he agreed. He said because she's 1,025th or whatever it was Indian, he's going to pay 1,025% of the $1 million. So it's $976.50.
Yes.
I love
I
that.
saw it.
man.
man.
That was hilarious. Now, isn't that Pocahontas? It's been years. It's probably been 10 years since I've been through there. But isn't it like this little itty bitty tiny town? And like you're driving, and then all of a sudden, off to the side of the road, like a 40-foot carved Indian standing there in the middle of nowhere.
Middle
Yeah,
of a
man.
cornfield.
It's just classic.
It's population 1,693 people. I've been through there a kabillion times on Highway 3, but
Highway 3.
I never did it and interviewed Pocahontas on the side of the road. I think I'm going to have to do it.
Wait,
I think I'm gonna have to do
wasn't that Tom Shaw's district?
that. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah,
a
I was
great-
gonna say,
it's a
I think
great-
I ate some.
It's a great community.
I ate some great
Um,
burgers there back in the day when I was volunteering for his campaign.
Yeah, it's a great area. It's a great part of the state. It's just
So when
Yeah,
she runs for president, she's gonna have to avoid that section of Highway 3 when she.
yeah.
Yeah.
If she come through there in a motorcade, that'd be
If she had
be
two brain
pandemonium.
cells,
But
if
really,
she had
the only
two brain,
thing she can do, and I mean this honestly, and I'm giving her advice. She just needs to go stand next to the thing and make a joke. out of it.
that's what I was
It's
gonna
hard
say.
to
If she has
joke,
two
right?
brain cells to rub together, she will go and hold a rally right by that statue. That's it.
Exactly.
These
I
people
mean,
have no sense of humor. Trump has shown that 100 times over too. They have no sense of humor. They can't take a joke. I mean, well, maybe Senator Spartacus. I mean, he's made himself the butt of so many jokes. Maybe he could take some, but these people have no sense of humor. They can't take a joke.
Well, see, that's my idea. And if somebody, I'm probably not going to do it, but if somebody has a lot of money and can follow Elizabeth Warren around during presidential season, whenever that starts up, probably February or so.
Yeah.
If they had,
it's underway.
yeah, if they had a big freaking giant truck or whatever, and you pull it like a 20-foot trailer behind it or bigger with a giant teepee on the back. And at every event that Elizabeth Warren goes to, you drive that thing, and with Tim McGraw's Indian Outlaw blaring from speakers, I think Chris came up with that idea.
I'm down.
And then coming out of the TP, Elizabeth Warren emerges first, and then Spartacus turns up, and then they spar with boxing gloves there with Indian Outlaw playing with the giant TP.
This is what we got. If you can see it, this is in Pocahontas, Iowa. This is no joke. It's
That's
no
it.
8-foot statue, man. This thing is legit. I got room to put a chair.